Okay, so this shiur is sponsored by Simone Oziel in the refuah of her husband, Yaakov ben Mazal Tov. Be'ezrat HaShem, complete refuah. Now, so we started, I want to speak about a topic today that is a topic that it is so important for us because it's a perspective on life that if we live one way, life looks this way, and if we live another way, life looks the other way. I always give the example of a simple credit card, even if they're maxed out. You have, on one side, it's all colorful and you have all the different things. The other side is just plain. Life is also, it could be that way. You could have life that'll be one way, and life that could be plain. What's the difference? How much do we put HaShem into our life? How much do we put HaShem into our life? That's what's going to be our topic today. That's our topic's going to be today. And this topic, if we internalize the message, we are going to see that it could bring us much, much, much success and happiness. I'm going to start off like this. So we started because if you remember a couple of weeks ago we mentioned that Sefer Bamidbar, the book of Bamidbar, is not a book that has many halachot and laws and mitzvot that are pertinent to us today. As a matter of fact, most of them are not so relevant today. It's a lot of stories. The Ramban says it's a lot of stories, a lot of trials and tribulations that Bnei Israel had when they were crossing the Midbar. Right? Now, in the parasha that we just read last week, I don't know if you noticed that there was in the middle of the Torah, there's a couple of pesukim that have an upside down nun, the letter nun, an upside down nun on one side at the beginning, and an upside down nun on the other side. Vayhi bin Aaron vayomer Moshe, Uma Adonai v'yafutz oivecha, musanecha mikamecha, shuva Adonai v'yizvot alfei Yisrael. The Chachamim tell us that these two upside down nuns are to symbolize that it's a book on its own. It's a parasha on its own. We thought that we have 5 sefarim. It's not true, we really have 7. Bereshit, Shemot, Vayikra, Bamidbar until Vayibin Aaron, then Vayibin Aaron, then Bamidbar until Vayibin Aaron, and then Devarim. 7 sefarim we have in the Torah. Not 5. We say 5, but the Halakha is really 7, because this is a Sefer Bifnei Atzmo. Why is it a Sefer Bifnei Atzmo? Why is this a book on its own? Why is this a book on its own? Or what do the Pesukim symbolize also? What does it symbolize? So if you look closely, what happened before, what happened afterwards? Beforehand was the Torah speaking about the Nerot and who's bringing the Korbanot. All of a sudden there's this break, like a commercial, that the Aron would go and the divine presence, the Shekhinah would be with the Aron. And right afterwards, the nation started complaining. Where's our pickles? Where's our watermelon? Where's our cucumbers? Where's our meat? Where's this? Where's that? And they started complaining. And after they finished complaining, Moshe Rabbeinu says, they're killing me. Hargeni naharog. They're killing me. And before we know it, there's a series of events. In this week's parasha, it's going to be about the spies. And they want to send in spies. And HaShem says, why do you need spies? And he says, I want to send spies anyways. It was a very big mess. Till the end of Sefer Bamidbar, trials and tribulations in the Midbar. What happened? So the Sefer Ha'emek Davar explains in his introduction to Bamidbar that this book of this book of Bamidbar is split into two, and really you have three books in this Bamidbar, because it's a whole different level. There was a level while Bnei Israel were with Moshe Rabbeinu, that was Tiferet, it was called. He calls that. The midah of they were on a different level, the level of truth, the level that they were with Moshe Rabbeinu, and the miracles were wide open. But then Bnei Israel fell.
That was the splendor?
That was Tiferet, was the I don't know if it was the splendor, it was the perfect balance. It was the perfect balance. It could be splendor, it's the perfect balance that they had everything. Tiferet is always a mix between Gvura and Chesed. It was a perfect balance that they had, and they saw Hashem's presence. Moshe Rabbeinu had his mateh. As long as he had his stick, nothing could happen. Then, Bnei Israel, all of a sudden, they got used to their situation, and they went from a high level to a lower level. It wasn't anymore Tiferet, it was Malchut. Hashem is leading them, but it's not out in the open anymore. It's not out in the open anymore. And Moshe Rabbeinu saw that once that's happening, he basically doesn't have any place anymore for being. He doesn't have any place anymore for being the leader of Am Yisrael, because he could lead Am Yisrael on a very high level. But if they want to be led on a lower level, anybody could do that, or not anybody, but somebody not like Moshe Rabbeinu. Right afterwards, if you notice in the parasha, there was Eldad Umedad, they had a prophecy. What was there? They were going around prophesying. What were they prophesying? Moshe Rabbeinu is not going to bring us anymore into Eretz Yisrael. It's going to be Yehoshua bin Nun. Why? Because that's it. They went down the level. And that's why Moshe Rabbeinu said, you're killing me now with your complaints. Now, I also get a lot of complaints. And truth is, I want to say sometimes, oh, you're killing me. But literally, no. Literally, no. But Moshe Rabbeinu meant it literally. Why did he mean it literally? He says, now that you're complaining, you're showing me that you're not on the level to deserve my leadership of being open with the hashgacha, with the divine presence of Hashem. So Yeshua could lead you. So that's why it was a different parasha. And from then on, it was just trial and tribulation. And trial and tribulation, they fell. They fell many, many levels. They fell many levels. That's why it's a separate parasha. And in the middle, it talks about that as long as Vayivin Soaron, Kuma Hashem. You know what Kuma Hashem means? It means as long as Vayivin Soaron, the Aron would have went on its own. The Aron, it used to be the Aron would go on its own and people would just stand on its side. The Aron was like floating on its own. It was floating on it because it was a miracle. It was open miracle.
While they were traveling?
While they were traveling, the Aron was going on its own. It didn't hold any weight, and the people would just be like pretending to you they're carrying it. Oh. But then when they were scared, Bnei Israel said, "Okay, now we're going down a level. Is Hashem's presence going to be with us?" So Moshe Rabbeinu said, "Kuma Hashem. Hashem will still be with us. It won't be the same though." So that was the split in between the before Moshe era and after Moshe era. That's what happened in last week's parasha, and that's why in this week's parasha we see a parashat Shelach about the Miraglim, that they had this challenge. Is Hashem going to help us? Really, is Hashem going to help us? Hashem's always going to help us. Look, doubt came into their mind. Why? Because they said, okay, now Hashem's not out in the open anymore. They didn't see Hashem in the open like they used to. Now, how do we see Hashem out in the open? This is the big challenge. Because even though Bnei Israel went down a level, that doesn't mean we can't access and we can't attach ourselves to Hashem when we want to. Even though we distance ourselves from Hashem, we're still able to connect to Hashem and to connect to the Yirat Shamayim and to the presence of Hashem if we want to. But it's all up to us. Beforehand, it was out in the open. There was nothing to discuss. But now it takes a very tremendous amount of ratzon. Now, and this is what I want to speak about. The way how we get to getting to HaShem is going to be how much ratzon. Ratzon means the willpower. Willpower, ratzon, is the single biggest asset a person could have. With ratzon, with will, you could conquer anything. And you could achieve anything. It just matters that you really have to want it. And who did I learn this from? Ruth. Ruth HaMoaviyah was the mother of kingdom, Em HaMalchut. What was the story of Ruth? There was a person called Elimelech. Elimelech was a rich man and a very great Torah scholar in a time when there was famine. And he had a lot of communal responsibility that fell upon him because now he had to support a lot of people. And he wasn't so happy. He says, I don't want them knocking on my door the whole time. I'm going to run away. I'm going to run out from Eretz Yisrael. That way I don't have to face anybody. That wasn't looked upon favorable. And he brought his sons with him, Machlon and Kilion. Machlon married Ruth and Kilion married Orpah. Okay? Now, who were Ruth and Orpah? They were princesses from Moab. Moab, if you remember, was born through illicit relationship with he was from Lot and his daughters. That was the children Moab. So it came from the epitome of tum'ah, of impurity. And here she was a Moab princess. And she married one of the children of Elimelech. The only Jews that were in Moab at the time. They ran away. It was their club med. They said, that way we don't have to stay and we don't have to deal with the community in Israel. We could run away. Hashem said, you don't forsake and you don't abandon your community like that. Elimelech died, leaving Naomi, his widow, all alone. And then her children, Machlon and Kilion, died, leaving Ruth and Orpah all alone. So here they are, all alone. They were destitute. They already had no money. They spent it all in Moab. And Ruth, instead of, I'm not going to get into the whole story, but Orpah left. Orpah was given the choice to leave. Naomi said, I'm not going to have any more children. That could be your husband's, But Ruth Dafkaba, Ruth said, I want to stay with your nation, as hard as it is. And then they moved back there to Israel, and she would go and work on the field until Boaz, the leader of Am Yisrael, recognized her. And she had a tremendous will that she wanted to cling with the Jewish people. And because of that, she became the mother of the Mashiach. She became the mother of Oved, who was the mother of Yishai, who was the mother of David, HaMelech. So Ruth became the mother of Mashiach Tzidkenu. Could you believe it? You would think that the mother of Mashiach is the wife of Avraham Avinu, of the direct descendants of this Kadosh and this Tzaddik. Ruth, not only a convert, which was already a controversy. How do we accept a convert from Moab? And the answer was only a Moabi lady and not a Moabi man. But from the greatest tum'ah, from the greatest impurity, she became not only an accepted convert, not only the wife of the giant of the generation, but she became the mother known as the mother of Mashiach Tzidkenu. In other words, the starting point. That's why we call her Imah Shel Malchut, the mother of kingdom. Later on in life, there was a showdown between David HaMelech and Goliath. Goliath was a son of Orpah, the one that split from her. So eventually they made up. They met up once again, that dynasty, and that's another story. Yeah, that's another story. But David HaMelech came from the epitomes of Tumah. And the Sfarim of Kabbalah tell us something very interesting. Ruth had to come from such a hidden source because the purpose of Mashiach is to spread the name of Hashem even in the most distant places. in the places where there's the most tumah in the world, that the job of the Mashiach is to make the name of Hashem be known even over there. So that if you take the name of Hashem, Ado and Nai, and if you open up the name of Hashem, in other words, there's a way to Shem Hashem ben Milui, so it says Aleph Lamed Pei. There's a way how to the gematria to open up each letter. Daled Lamed Yud Tav. If you open up each letter and spell it, it'll come up to the gematria of Taf Resh Ayin Aleph, which is 671. That's the name of Hashem in the open. The name of Hashem in hidden is 65. It's 65. If you subtract 671, and if you subtract 65 from 671, you'll get to 606, which is the gematria of Ruth. Ruth is 606. That's why it says Ruth, 606, she accepted upon herself 606 mitzvot. She already had 7 mitzvot, so she accepted upon herself another 606 mitzvot, right, to make 613. But it's also the hidden name of Hashem, because the name of Hashem in open is 671. The name of Hashem closed, Aleph, Dalet, Nun, Yud, is going to 65. And you minus 671 minus 65, you'll get to Ruth. You'll get to Ruth. That is, because Ruth came from the most hidden parts of the name of Hashem. And that's what Hashem wanted. Because a person is going to get on higher levels, dafka, when he doesn't see, where is Hashem over here? And he's looking for Hashem. And he finds Hashem and he brings the name of Hashem in the open. It's the biggest Kiddush Hashem possible. And why? Because she had such ratzon. She had such will. And look what she accomplished. I want to tell you 2 stories about willpower. And we're going, and with this, where we could understand how if somebody has the will to get to whatever he wants to get to, he'll be able to see Hashem's light everywhere. Yes?
Okay, so in order to work,
Number one is like this. There's a Rav in a neighborhood in Yerushalayim. His name is Rabbi Eliyahu Abergel. He was recently one of the candidates to be the chief rabbi of Rishon LeZion. And when he was a young boy in Eretz Yisrael, so he was a promising young boy, and he went to, it was at his time, he really wanted to continue learning Torah. But his father said, listen, got to get a diploma, what's going to happen? And he really, really wanted to learn. So his father sent him, no choice, to the Technion to get a diploma in Haifa. The Technion in Haifa. It was a place where they learned technology. But he knew that in his Sfarim, that there was the chief rabbi of Haifa then, his name was Rabbi Yosef Misas. Rabbi Yosef Misas had the face of an angel. He was already a big Rav in Meknes. He was together with Rabbi Baruch Quotidienne, a big Rav in Meknes. And he's the face of an angel. And Rabbi Yosef Misas was now the chief rabbi in Haifa. So he knew from the address of his books that Rabbi Yosef Misas lived in Haifa. Where in Haifa? So he came, he knocked on the door of Rabbi Yosef Misas. Rabbi Yosef Misas opens the door, tells him yes. He says, I want to learn Torah, but my parents sent me over here to learn in university. So, as long as I could maybe learn with you a little bit, that'll also be good. Rabbi Yosef Misas says, what? You want to continue learning Torah? You have to push for it. You have to really want it. And he said, let me tell you a story, how we used to learn Torah in Morocco. He says, there's the Talmud, there's 2 Talmuds. There's the Talmud Bavli, that's the Babylonian Talmud, and there's the Talmud Yerushalmi. Yerushalmi, not too many people learn. They mostly learn Talmud Bavli. There's the Talmud Yerushalmi. So one time in Meknes, I was learning Talmud Yerushalmi for a long time. Until there was once, I had a question, I couldn't figure it out. It was so difficult, I couldn't figure it out. So what can I do? I said, maybe in Casablanca they sell a sefer that'll explain my question. People think that Rabbanim all day, Tehillim or something. No, it doesn't go that way. They were studying very difficult subjects. So, it's 300 kilometers from Meknes to Casablanca. He traveled. And he traveled all the way to Casablanca. He gets into the Sfarim store. Person tells him, we don't have any. We only have a Talmud Bavli here. What? Talmud Yerushalmi? We don't have that over here. Sorry. But he says, maybe there's a place in Tangiers, there's a certain Rav there, his name is Rabbi Mordechai Benjo, and there he has a library of a lot of Sfarim, because all of those who come collecting money from Eretz Yisrael stop off in Tangiers first, it's the port, and they give him a sefer as a present. So go to him. So Rabbi Yosef Mesa says, no problem. He packed himself for a half a day. He traveled to Tangiers. He gets to Rabbi Benjo. He says, I am looking for an explanation on the Talmud Yerushalmi. So he says, sorry. He tells him, listen, many people have came to me and borrowed Sfarim, and I haven't seen them again. So he says, no problem. Give me your shamash. Let him come with me to the Sfarim store, and to the Sfarim room where you have all the Sfarim, and he'll watch me. Okay. So they go. He goes together with him, and Rabbi Yosef looks. Finally, he found the book he's looking for, and finally he finds the question that he was looking for. His face lit up. To see Rabbi Yosef Mitzvah's face lit up. It could light up a whole stadium. He was so happy. He says, thank you very much. He closed, and he went all the way back to Viknes, just for that question. The story goes on that eventually he was able to get the sefer because the inheritors were selling the library. Eventually he got the sefer. That's another part of the story. But relevant to us, Rabbi Yosef Mitzvah tells the young boy, this is what we did for Torah in Morocco. If you want to achieve heights in Torah, you have to have great self-sacrifice. You have to have a lot of ratzon. If you have ratzon, HaShem will open up any door for you. The student went back to Porat Yosef, and eventually he became a very prominent Rav. Now he's one of the candidates to be the chief rabbi. He was a candidate. Just tell you the level. He's a very, very well-known Rav with many Sfarim, as is the Rav of the neighborhood of Bakai in Jerusalem. Just to tell you that when a person has the ratzon where they could get to, that was Rabbi Yosef Misas. And let me tell you a personal story now with me. A personal story that just happened to me a couple of months ago. And I think I might have mentioned something that I mentioned before the name of Rabbi Chaim David Serero. Chaim David Serero was a very prominent dayan in Morocco in the 40s and the 50s in the city of Fez. And his uncle was Rabbi Aharon Bozbol, was also a very great dayan in Fez. And my grandmother's uncle was Rabbi Aharon Bozbol. So Rabbi Chaim David Serero was her cousin. And I really wanted to obtain Rabbi Aharon Bozbol's writing, to be able to study them and maybe print them as a sefer. I really wanted to. I really, really wanted it. Okay, very nice. How am I going to get it? So I started writing an email here, an email there, calling this person here, nothing. Family, I don't even know if they're religious. I don't know where they are. Very difficult. Eventually, somebody answered me, and he says, I have 400 pages of the writing of Rabbi Cyril. You want to put them out? Here they are.
Wow.
Could you imagine? Here I am sitting now, and I'm learning these books. I'm teaching them. I'm sharing his Torah, and one of the great Yonim of Morocco. I'm going to be able to share the Torah with the rest of the world. Now, where did this come from? I just realized. Where did this come from? Okay, because I really wanted to do it. If somebody really, really wants to do something, and davar omed bifnei ratzon. Nothing gets in the way of ratzon. That was Ruth. That was Rabbi Yosef Misas, and that's each and every one of us. It's true. If we want to do something, Hashem will open up the doors. We just have to really want it. We just have to really want it. So this is the same thing. If we want to discover the presence of Hashem, we have to really want it. In the times of the Midbar, they were challenged. They used to see Hashem, and now they went down on the level. Sometimes they rose to the occasion, and sometimes, like this week, where they sinned with the spies, they didn't. But we have to in our life, we have to understand that we're going to have challenges. We're going to have challenges. How much are we going to put Hashem inside our challenges? How much are we going to say, Hashem was with us all the way, He'll continue being with us? Some say this was the sin of those of the Miraglim, of those who said, well, the Miraglim, the giants of Eretz Yisrael will kill us. We have to send spies. They should have realized, well, Hashem took care of us before. Hashem will take care of us now. For Hashem, a small problem, a big problem, doesn't matter. The same way He took care of us before, He'll take care of us now. But they didn't believe it.
I have a problem.
Yes, please go ahead. I think these are the lessons that we could learn from this generation in the Midbar. The generation in the Midbar had challenges of finding Hashem now, even when Hashem wasn't all in the open. And sometimes they succeeded. Sometimes they succeeded. But sometimes they didn't. Sometimes they didn't. Sometimes they went with the Et HaChaim. The Gaon Mevilna says that the time of Moshe Rabbeinu was Et HaChaim. He had the stick. And after the Midbar already, he didn't have the stick. After they started complaining, he wasn't with the stick anymore. It was the Et Hadad. He wasn't holding it the whole time. Only once in a while. It all depends where a person is holding. The Et HaChaim or the Et Hadad. So Yirat Son will take these lessons, Bezat Hashem, and we take the lessons of really wanting to discover the presence of Hashem, and we'll see Hashem in our lives the whole time. All right, Chazak u'Baruch.